Good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to this lighting ceremony for the AREON connectivity. This is an exciting day in the history of the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff as we expand our capacity for research, extension, and teaching. We are grateful to Mr. Abiati and the UA system under the leadership of Dr. Sugg and the state of Arkansas and Governor Mike Beebe for helping us make this possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chancellor Davis. Of course, it's always a pleasure to be on campus, and it's even more of a pleasure to come here and help make some history. And there's another component to that. My colleague, Dr. Walker here, said, well, I'm sure glad this happened. And I said, well, Jesse, we said we're going to do it. He said, well, yeah, talk is cheap. Saying one's one thing, doing is another. And I just want to say at the very beginning, when AREON makes you a promise, it's going to happen. There's not any doubt about that. So for those of you that don't know what AREON actually is and what we're doing here, AREON is the Arkansas Research and Education Optical Network. Several years ago, higher education nationwide realized that we had a need for our own research and education network infrastructure. And we realized that it was going to take all of us working together to make it happen. And we also realized that in order to sustain something of this nature, we needed to be working together and sharing resources as best we possibly could. What we're seeing today are connections here in Arkansas, connections in North Carolina, and they could just as easily be connections anywhere in the world that was part of the network. And you also notice the tremendous quality of the video you see. This is high definition. This is what you see in your home. If you have cable at home that has high def. And this makes a big difference in terms of how we teach, how we do our research, how we do our administration as we work together and collaborate. What AREON does as a very large, actually 1,600-mile fiber optic-based network in the state of Arkansas, it allows us in higher education to say that we actually own this infrastructure because we do, and we own the switches, and we operate it ourselves. That's the unique piece of this whole milieu, in that we're able then to craft the network as we need to. AREON serves all of our four-year institutions in the state of Arkansas at this point in time, with the exception of one. Southern Arkansas University will be on this network. It is a priority for us. We're going to make that happen. And we just received, under the leadership of our UAMS colleagues in Little Rock, there at the Med Center, a $102 million stimulus grant that will allow us to extend the amazing telemedicine assets that we have and to extend this network, sir, out to all of our two-year campuses, which allows us, once again, to collaborate, to share, to do those kinds of things in Arkansas that we know we need to do. So AREON is a very large, very fast network. And the network is one piece. The other piece is what you do with it. It's really the applications that drive this whole process. And that, quite frankly, is what I'm most excited about, is that we have the infrastructure. It is a state-of-the-art infrastructure. The AREON Chief Technology Officer, David Merrifield, and the engineers, Stephen Karp and Scott Romilly, and Diane Didier here of our staff have worked so hard over the past few years with everyone in the state to make the infrastructure a reality. So now it's what do you do with the infrastructure that makes this the true benefit that it is going to be. AREON has four core agendas. The first being research, and you'll hear from Dr. Amy Apon today, who not only is the director of the High Performance Computing Center at the University of Arkansas, but also is truly the state lead in cyber infrastructure for the entire state. And I think I could pretty well say on a regional and national level as well. We're so fortunate to have Dr. Apon and her staff working with us in this whole process. That makes a big, big difference for us. Secondly, we have an academic core agenda. When I first came home to Arkansas and I met with all of our chancellors, Dr. Davis and others made it clear to me that e-learning is a very, very important part of what we do, and that we wanted to focus on e-learning and be able to extend the tremendous academic resources we have beyond our campuses to the individuals that we need to reach on a global scale. And indeed, we're doing that. Rebecca Martindale leads that activity for us and has done a tremendous job, and you'll get a chance to see her at a later date. Thirdly, telemedicine and telehealth. In Arkansas, we have one of the top 5 telemedicine programs in the nation. What that means is, through the existing network and the network that AREON is going to help provide, we're going to be able to really tackle a large portion of that rural health care problem that we have in the state of Arkansas. It's going to make a difference. It saves lives. And indeed, the UAMS telemedicine telehealth team has done that so many times. It's absolutely amazing. As a matter of fact, our last light-up ceremony at UA Monticello this week, as luck would have it, the chancellor there had a stroke a year ago, and was one of the individuals that was lucky enough to have a telemedicine system near him. And the telemedicine system was really integral in saving his life and allowing him to recover from the stroke as he should. So AREON is certainly pleased to be associated with that. Our fourth and final core agenda is emergency preparedness. In Arkansas, we have one of the finest programs in the nation relative to undergraduate and graduate training in emergency management at Arkansas Tech University. Mr. Ed Leachman, who runs that program, also heads up our emergency management academic core agenda program. Tremendous. So, sir, what I'm saying is all those resources belong to you and to everyone here that's available. Now, we are fortunate enough to be part of all of the campuses that we're talking about. I think I'm the only guy in Arkansas that actually has 12 bosses that I can count. We try to carry IDs from every one of our campuses. We take very seriously the fact that we are here to support research and education on our member campuses. What that means is we support a tremendous number of grant programs that are written for and received, and we like to think in part because of the optical infrastructure that AREON brings to the table. And I think that Dr. Apon will have something to say about that in a little while. I just wanted to take a moment to say something about a grant program that we're in support of here at UAPV, the Arkansas Minority Cyber Infrastructure Training Education Consortium, AMC-TEC. Dr. Walker, sitting here to my right, keeps us busy constantly with these grant programs and the fact that he sees clearly the vision. He sees the vision for our STEM activities, our cyber infrastructure activities, and the focus that we can put on our minority students and giving everyone in the state of Arkansas access to these tremendous tools. And that's what AMC-TEC is going to do. It's going to allow us to focus on our historically black colleges and universities, be able to look at some of the unique issues that we have, be able to look at some of the unique talents that we have. I'm really excited about getting to see the aquaculture program here at UAPV. I think that is such a tremendous benefit for the entire state and the region and the nation. And AREON is really excited about being part of that program. So I just wanted to say thank you, sir, for having us here. I want to say, Jesse, I told you it's going to happen. And I want to thank everyone at UAPV for being so supportive of this process. AREON didn't happen overnight. AREON was certainly running a long time before I got here. Tremendous number of people that did such a great job. And please understand that what makes this work so well is the fact that all of our chancellors or presidents of all of our four-year institutions, the University of Arkansas system institutions, ASU system institutions, and institutions that are not a member of those systems, all of those presidents and chancellors are the board of directors of AREON. That is extremely unique. It's extremely important to us as we move forward. We also have a management council that allows us to make operational decisions. That management council is made up of professionals from each of those campuses. So everyone's at the table on every decision that we make. And then at the core of our infrastructure is our steering committee. Those are our technical experts from every campus, again, that are sitting and looking at the infrastructure, looking at how we can craft the infrastructure and do what our campuses need. So we have a very clear decision cycle. We have a very clear operational strategy. And right now where we are doing our light-up ceremonies, we should have everyone fully up and running here by the end of this academic year. And that's one piece. The biggest piece, the piece that makes AREON so unique, are the applications. It's being able to sit back to faculty and say, okay, here you go. You've got one of the finest optical infrastructures in the United States. You've got some of the finest high-performance computing support you're going to find anywhere. And that all belongs to you. Your faculty, your students, there you go. A unique situation. Now, what are you going to do with it? And we have met with over 350 faculty in the last year, asking that very question. if you have access to all the compute power in the world and access to all the affordable bandwidth in the world, what would you do? And after the silence, you know, we have the standard 2.5 minutes of silence. People begin to come forth with all kinds of opportunities and applications that make all the sense in the world. And of course, we go to every campus and we talk about that with faculty. Our next round, sir, is we're going to come to your campus and we're going to want to talk to your students. And we're going to say the same thing. If your campus has access to all the compute power in the world and all the bandwidth in the world, what do you expect? I had a student on another campus last week when I asked him that question, say, well, you know what's so exciting is I now have as much bandwidth in my classroom as I have in my apartment. I said, well, I think there's a quantifiable difference here between what you have there. AREON is a 40 gigabit per second network. When people see the high definition video like you're seeing today, we get a question of, well, how many of these could we do? Well, one of my engineers loves to answer that question. As we're sitting here, you can do 1,000 of these at this quality right now, all at the same time from UAPV. And the cost for that? Nothing. That makes a difference. So let me just point again to AMC Tech and the great work that Dr. Walker and the others are doing here to really make AREON a true asset for the state of Arkansas. The infrastructure is great. It's the applications that drive the benefit. What AREON wants to be is part of the team here in Arkansas who is changing the perception of the state of Arkansas from for me to follow me. And I think that's happening on a daily basis. So, sir, I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Welcome to AREON. And now it's time to hear about some of those applications that we talked about.
Very good.
Do you want me, Trish, to carry on? Or? Okay, well, let me do this then. The folks behind me and the folks there can see several Razorbacks running over a gentleman's head there in a red shirt. Dr. Amy Apon is sitting there smiling at him. That's Jeff Paul, who's sitting there behind the Mac. I said Dr. Apon is a true cyber infrastructure leader for this state. And we're so excited that she is a member of the AREON team. She has some tremendous resources. She has some tremendous ideas. And she wanted to share some of those with you today. So, Amy, let me turn it over to you.
Hey, Mike, you guys are looking great. So I see Jesse Walker there and Mansour Motazavi, and those guys have been great colleagues to work with across the state. So I just want to, you guys look great. This high definition is awesome. I just noticed that first. So Mike is correct. My name is Amy Apon. I'm a professor of computer science and computer engineering here, and I'm also the director of the Arkansas High Performance Computing Center. And I'm also leading a large collaborative project across the state of Arkansas with several institutions to build cyber infrastructure in our state. And I recently went to a national meeting where I had to report the results of this project. And you go through the slides, and one of the slides I put up was the map of AREON across the state of Arkansas, and that's the one that catches people's attention. When I put up that map, then they go, wow, Arkansas is really doing something. And it was that map and the AREON bandwidth that really people started asking questions and wanting to know, what did you guys do, and how have you done this, and who do you connect to? And so Mike and his team are really to be commended for the work that they've done to deploy AREON across the state. So in just a minute, Jeff Powell is going to talk a little bit more about some of the resources that are accessible at the national and local level and state level because of AREON. I just thought I'd give a testimonial. I probably spend a couple of meetings every week doing video conferencing very similar to this. And I can tell you it has changed the way that I can do my research because I can have real-time interactivity with researchers in North Carolina or in Texas or in California. In fact, one of the interactive videos that we had included an institution in the Czech Republic. And so, the time zone differences there become challenging. But it really opens up the doors of opportunity when you realize that you can have a face-to-face conversation with your colleagues around the world through video conferencing technology that's available through AREON. So it's really been my privilege to work with Mike and his team and to see what's possible with the Arkansas Research and Education Optical Network. So let me introduce Jeff Hummel. Jeff is the manager for cyber infrastructure enablement here at University of Arkansas, and he's also the project manager for the CI Train project, cyber infrastructure training. And he's going to tell you a little bit about what cyber infrastructure you can get to through the use of AREON and some of the national resources that are now much more accessible than they were with the network accessibility that you had before. So Jeff, let me turn it over to you. You have slides.
Thank you. Greetings, UAPB. It's good to see you guys all in attendance. I see some friendly faces in the crowd that I know very well. Hope to spend some more time with some of those people in the very near future. I do have a presentation set up to show some of the cyber infrastructure resources that you are able to accumulate. We'll go ahead and get that started now. Okay, so it should be up on your screen now. There's my contact information for those that would like to ask further questions after this presentation. Please feel free at any time to contact me. You can also reach me through the university directory. I'm usually at my office phone as well. So the first thing we'd like to discuss is the Campus Champions program. It doesn't do a lot of good to have all of these exotic resources if you don't know how to get them to your people and be able to use them. So there are two actual forms of Campus Champions programs. They're very complementary, but the Territory Campus Champions program, Territory being a national entity, started a couple of years ago, and it was a program to get people at the local levels on the campuses to be liaisons or champions, as they call it, of resources to help researchers get signed up and started up on the computational resources, the networking, the applications on the big machines at a national level. So that's gone very well. We currently have 103 members at 77 institutions right now, and we're looking at including other agencies in the very near future, probably DOE, DOD, NASA, et cetera. So that's been a very, very successful program. And to segue into the second part of the champions, we realized the CI Train effort at a very early stage realized that was a very critical part, and Dr. AREON actually took that idea and expanded it to include people at our local campus levels to give kind of a grassroots effort to getting some of this stimulus and this research going on our campuses. So we broke it out into IT Campus Champions and Faculty Campus Champions. So your IT people, of course, are enabling the use of the computational resources themselves, helping with building source code, finding the right applications, debugging problems, hooking you up with the right equipment, so to speak. Faculty champions involve themselves more with the researchers and discussing the possibilities of what can be done. And both of those have been extremely successful so far, and we continue to build on them on all of the campuses that CI Train reaches. So with that, now that you have the help on campus, what can you reach? The Arkansas High Performance Computing Center has actually been in operation since about 2005 as far as a fairly large entity. And some of the resources that we currently have are the Star of Arkansas. It's a 1,256 core supercomputer that is established as, at one time when we deployed it, it was 339 on the top 500 in the world. So it fell off, but it's very impressive to be able to have a system on that list at any time. It's very difficult to do, and it's getting increasingly difficult. So that machine actually is capable of 10.75 trillion floating point operations per second at maximum throughput. To put that in perspective, again, you can see it on the slide, but everybody in the world had a hand calculator to work together on a calculation 24 hours a day. It would take them 2 months to do what we could do in STAR in an hour. And STAR actually provides approximately 11 million hours of research time a year. Here's your staff that maintain the AHPCC and the resources here at the University of Arkansas Fayetteville. Everyone's very accessible, and we're all willing to, in fact, very eager to help you with your research or answer any questions that you might have. And anyone who is part of an AREON institution and part of the CI training project can use these resources. So the one qualification that we kind of like to make is that you have a campus CI champion on your campus, somebody that can work with the AHPCC staff initially to be a point of contact on your campus to get things set up and get started. So again, we don't see that that's a problem because everybody seems to be migrating to that same mode of operation. The second group of resources that you actually have access to is the TerraGrid. I mentioned it early, and the TerraGrid is a consortium of a lot of different institutions that provide computational cycles through NSF funding. These are the actual TerraGrid sites that I'm showing right now. We could go through them, but you guys probably recognize most of the names on the list. This is the most powerful resource on the TerraGrid currently. It's a CRAE at Oak Ridge National Labs. It's part of the National Institute for Computational Sciences. It's number 4 on the top 500 currently. We don't know what it'll be in November, but it's nearly 100,000 compute cores, so that should give you a basic idea of the magnitude of that system. And then this is a Ranger at the Texas Advanced Computing Center. These are some friends of ours down south. And it's a frequently used system, and it has a mere 63,000 cores, so much smaller. The TerraGrid also has science gateways for people that don't like to sit down and use the SSH session and look at a terminal screen. They've developed a lot of technologies that involve web portals into the resource. If you never actually see the resource itself, you pull up one of these science gateways and you submit your parameters for your research and you hit the submit button, and the gateway actually handles the negotiation of the information to the TerraGrid resources and returns the answers. So for those that really don't get into the hands-on front-end type things, they're working to resolve that because they want everybody to have access to these resources for research. Here's an example of the front page of one of the science gateways. It's for plant phylogenetics, and we could go a number of layers in, but basically that's the first thing you see, and then you select one of your options to be able to examine the phylogenesis of plants. So there are many out there, that just happen to be one example. Something else that you can do with TerraGrid when you apply for an allocation, it's not just compute cycles. They've got advanced support for TerraGrid applications, or ASTA, that allows someone that signs up and needs assistance migrating an application or getting an application to run well, or fine-tuning a code that they're writing themselves. Different types of things like that. They actually can provide you with national researchers and people that are specialists in coding and supercomputing to help you with your individual problems. So that's something that during a TerraGrid sign-up that you can select, and that's, again, all of this is free. These don't cost anything. So TerraGrid is an entity for research. It's not for commercial entities. You need to be the PI must be a researcher, educator, at a U.S. academic institution. You can, on an application, you can apply and add people to your allocation that don't qualify to be the PI, but you need somebody with some of these qualifications to be the PI. And there should be a distinction made that there are both startup research allocations and educational allocations. For an educator, you can actually apply for time on a machine or multiple machines, and add your students for a class to your allocation and use these resources to teach a class in high performance or scientific computing. So that becomes very useful when it's not feasible to have your own system on campus. So that being said, we would probably like to open it up for questions, and I've kind of just glazed an overview, and hopefully that stimulated some further questions or discussion on your part.
Okay, do we have any questions from the group? The Chancellor had to excuse himself. There was a little matter the governor just showed up.
What's that? Oh, okay. Oh, he's somebody who Chancellor excused himself.
So
Go ahead, Amy.
I would like to out that Jeff Pummel is the champion of champions, meaning that he is available to help researchers at UA Pine Bluff and other AREON institutions to enable the campus champions on the campuses to help the users on those campuses. So he's already been working with Jesse Walker, Mansour Marzavi, and we've gotten some students involved already in utilizing some of these resources and are prepared to provide access to anyone at UA Pine Bluff who would like to use them. And I don't know if Jesse has mentioned to you the yearly meeting that we plan to have at Oak Ridge National Lab in May 2011. So we will be on site at the location where you saw that photograph of Kraken. And so if you have students or faculty that would go up and touch the big computer, then you will have access to be able to do that. And we hope that we will have some folks from UA Pine Bluff that will be able to attend.
Outstanding. Amy, in the presentation, I think CI Train was mentioned. Would you like to give just a few words about what CI Train is and the relationship?
Sure. Well, you kind of see it in action. There are three components of CI Train. One component is workforce development, which includes Jeff and CI champions and getting people together at conferences about once a year, twice a year, and encouraging participation in national conferences, and also interaction with Shodor Corporation. Bob Panoff is going to talk to us a little bit. We had a workshop about a year and a half ago with Shodor. So workforce development is a big component of it, getting people aware of national resources and teaching them how to use them. And then another couple of components are deploying some large-scale computational resources across the state and deploying some visualization and data capture devices that are shareable and utilized by our participating institutions. I see Diane Didier. I didn't see you a minute ago. Hi, Diane.
We were just recognizing Dr. Alan Sugg, who walked in the door here at the President of the University of Arkansas System.
Yes,
That's Amy.
Hello, Amy. Hello, how are you doing? I'm Alan Sugg. I'm going to go.
Dr. Sugg, this is the light-up ceremony here at UAPB.
Oh, good.
And what you're looking at, of course, you see some smiling faces you recognize.
I know I'm going to see Amy tomorrow night.
Dr. Panoff was in North Carolina.
Oh, good.
And we were just getting our briefing here, and Amy was telling us a little bit about the CI Train program.
Okay, good.
So Amy, you have any other
We are
comments?
redder than you are. You have red ties, but
Yeah,
we have red shirts and
That's
red
true, red
hawks.
ties and good church. Any other comments about CI Train, Amy?
We are, let's see, so what else do I need to say about CI Train? It's workforce development, computational resources, data capture devices. We're supporting a lot of different research domains, not just the hard sciences. We're also looking at ways that we can support archaeology and heritage through the digitizing of things like ancient Pompeii. And so it is very applicable to a broad range of research domains.
And I guess to add to that, CI Train also involves a large amount of education, outreach, and training, which we're working very hard to develop in conjunction with the other institutions involved with CI Train.
Absolutely.
And I guess associated with CI Train is we hope to get some UA Pine Bluff students up here. We've got a undergraduate supplement that we, Jesse Walker and I are going to work together to get some of his undergraduates up here and have a research experience.
That's absolutely wonderful. I mean, it's a wonderful program, and it dovetails perfectly with AMC Tech that we mentioned a moment ago. We're able to cover such a broad spectrum now for our students on every campus. It makes such a big difference. I just want to say that this is not just an Arkansas-specific resource. When we say that we've opened the window to the world for you, we really mean that. Now, our next speaker, Dr. Robert Panoff of the Shoulder Educational Foundation, he's not far away right now. He's just in North Carolina. Last week, as we were trying to put this together, he was in Germany. But you know, we just couldn't get our colleagues in Germany to let us get the bandwidth that we needed to make this happen. But that's okay. It's a little bit more site-specific, and Bob was on military bases doing some training there, and they're a little bit more stingy with bandwidth than perhaps you might see on a college university campus. So having said that, Dr. Panoff, as I said, directing the Shoulder Educational Foundation.
May I say one more thing?
Yes, Dr.
I see those Razorbacks back there, but you know, we're in golden mine country. And we're going to be gambling on Saturday, right? And we're going to be Vanderbilt on Saturday, too. I get 2 shots at these two. And I've got to run because we've got the governor coming in to visit with us about our aquaculture program. You know, we're working on a doctoral program in that area. So we got a lot of things going on here in UAPC today. And Dr. Dave's got
Dr. Sugg is the governor.
lots of balls in there.
Well, now bring the governor down.
I will. If he has time.
Bring him down.
I really would.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And as I was saying, Dr. Panoff brings a perspective to this entire concept that is so valuable. I keep talking about applications, applications, applications. And that's what Bob and his team do so well on a global basis. And I speak from a personal experience. So the workshop that Amy mentioned a year and a half ago or so, I came to, but what I did was kind of got some permission to allow my 11-year-old grandson to attend. And I thought, well, you know, I don't know how that's going to go, because they had some quite erudite researchers there from all over the United States. But Bob was so kind to say, sure, bring him on in. He can help me do some of this stuff. And, you know, as a grandfather, you're thinking, well, I may have to go get him early. Or, no way. He wanted to stay. He wanted to stay later. He wanted to do all kinds of things, and all he talked about was everything that he learned, you know, through that process. And he set me straight many times. I can assure you that. Especially on working with Max. He set me straight and showed me so many other applications I've never seen. So Dr. Panoff brings another piece to the puzzle. And that is a tremendously important piece of the puzzle. The ability to take the infrastructure that we have and actually create the applications that allow our students to be able to benefit from the resources. So with that, I give you Dr. Robert Panoff.
Thank you very much. There is a presentation that I'll assume you all can see there. Let me know when it's up, and it's something that they can see there.
We can see it, Bob.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just give a little verbal indication of when to go to a particular slide, but what I really want to talk about is what this network enables everyone in Arkansas to do, from Pine Bluff and beyond, is to engage in the full aspect of computational thinking, where the verb is thinking. Computational is an adjective. Getting access to resources on the network is a methodology, but the real thinking that goes on is often facilitated by linking humans together and giving person-to-person opportunities to converse, to understand, to explore, and to develop. So this is something that we're really looking forward to working with AREON and for the campuses. At the same time, there's a human element that can't be replaced, and we had 2 of our staff on your campus as late as yesterday. They're still not home because of a storm in Atlanta, but but Jeff Krause, a biologist, and Bob Hochberg, who's a mathematician from Shoulder, were there at Pine Bluff the day before at Philander Smith, working directly with your faculty. But a lot of that will be facilitated, and the follow-up to that will be facilitated with this optical connectivity that'll make it almost as if it's person-to-person, and we're just sitting on opposite sides of the table. So we hope that that'll be something we can take greater advantage of as we're going through. If you go to the next slide, what we do at Shoulder, and what we're hoping you'll be able to do, is really what I call the 2 breathing modes of computational science education. A lot of what we do is computational science education. We are using interactive models and simulations to teach chemistry, biology, archaeology, geology, psychology, mathematics, physics. Whatever it is that we want to teach, we can teach it better using the tools of interactive models and simulations. And that's what we're really talking about a lot with being access. So when they're talking about what are the resources that you have access to over this network, you also have access to these interactive models and simulations. not just because you're doing research, but because you want to create a generation of students who want to do research. You give them the active experience and excitement of being engaged in a dynamic, interactive world, and being able to access those resources at a reasonable speed and high enough bandwidth that it's as if they're on their own system. This is something which is truly revolutionary. At the same time, as we're trying to teach about modeling, we talk about computational science education, which is actually teaching the modeling, the simulation, the tools, the programming, the use of numerical libraries, the use of high-performance computing. The education is to engage students in the actual practice of computational science. So on one hand, we're using computing to make a better science and math experience. The other is we're learning how to bring more people into the world of computing. And both of those will be facilitated with this AREON connection, and it's something that we're hoping to participate. And again, it's a lot easier for us in North Carolina to just come into my office and talk to you than it would be to spend several days arranging travel, arranging hotel, arranging a storm in Atlanta that delays the staff from getting back. So we talk about moving electrons instead of people and increasing the connectivity through a person-to-person connection, that this is a type of thing that it's not Twitter, we're not limited to 140 characters. We can talk as much in as many ways as we can with visualization, with dynamic simulation, with person-to-person thinking at the heart. If you go to the next slide, this is really the payoff. The payoff being that we get people who would otherwise not be engaged in science to be engaged in science. The success at Shodor that we are trying to spread to others is that the people who do computational science typically don't have to look like me. They don't have to be dead white European males. They could be anyone, anywhere, and we are using computational science as an enabling pump to increase the number of students in science, not as a filter that limits which students get to be in science. We start with modeling, and we end up with more capable programmers. We don't start with the types of activities in which people say, oh, I don't do that, or I can't do that, or I didn't have that in high school, so I can't do it in college. So the enabling aspects of computational science are something that we want to make sure happen for all students on all the campuses, and this type of connectivity will enable that to happen. It doesn't happen without some type of a plan. And what Amy referred to, what Jesse's referred to, what Mike has referred to, is we have this series of activities that build excitement. And that excitement is something that brings many people into the computational arena. Then we want to give the students experience. And when they get the actual experience of doing computation, it's something that engages them, they understand what they're doing, and they see themselves doing it. But all of that would be limited if we didn't also create a true sense of expertise, where the students themselves become expert, the faculty become expert. It's not simply a matter of having to wait to call in some technician. Those technicians are at the service of the learning and the science that individuals can improve and be conducting themselves, whether it's at the undergraduate level, whether it's at the research level, whether it's preparing to go to graduate school. So this excitement, experience, expertise, expansion is something that we're very much interested in making happen. The access to online resources that are dynamic, that are interactive, and that have a reason to be believed is something that's also very important. I'd like to give you an example. If you go to the next slide, one of the things that's most dynamic about the ways computing have changed is that we're doing a lot more visualization and a lot less graphing. We're doing a lot more modeling and a lot less programming. We're solving a problem not just once, but over a range of parameters that enable anyone to come in and really understand the dynamics of the system. If you were to push on the image here, which is a result that I'll show you how we got, if you pushed on that image, you should have a launch page. Do you have a launch page there?
Yes.
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 And then if you click on the word launch, so you should click on the image, which was the blue and white dots, and then that takes you to a page that should say Sim Surface. Is that true?
Yeah, we got that.
It's there.
Okay, now click the launch button, and what's going to be immediately downloaded to your computer from our servers is a complete simulated annealing environment. So that we've developed the science, we've developed the learning environment, and what you should have, if you allow the connection, is a screen with a lot of repulsive charges on it. If you go up to the simulation menu and pull down anneal, what you will be seeing in real time is a solution of a 42-dimensional integral measuring the energy for all of the coordinates of all the particles of the system, and we are minimizing the energy with respect to all of those coordinates. And what you ought to be seeing is the crystallization of that system into something that is a very stable system. If you go back to simulation and pull down calculate potential, you will see the solution of the Laplace's equation, which is, again, for 90,000 points repeated hundreds of thousands of times in real time, you are seeing the construction of the equipotential surfaces. And you're not seeing a graph of those, you're seeing the full 42-dimensional integral displayed with color and with texture. If you go back to simulation and you pull down calculate the field, we can take the gradient, the differences of that potential, and everywhere in the system ask the question, if I applied a force to an electron, what force would be felt by an electron in that system? And the electric field is something that's truly dynamic, that you can see, that you can almost touch. And then if you were to go back to the original screen with the charges, you could randomize the charges, you could change the number of charges, you could move those charges around and look at that calculation in real time. Being able to access those simulations in real time is something that not that long ago, even if we had the materials built, it could take 10 to 15 minutes just to download the application. Here it's almost instantaneous. Any student anywhere on your campus can have access to this from the classroom, from the dorm, from the media center, from the cafeteria. And then not only do they get access to the content, but there's an entire set of curriculum materials that are there as well. And that's something that is changing the nature of interactive dynamic science. If you were to go back to the web page, just click on the background and close that page to get back to the talk. If you go to the next button, this should take you to the National Computational Science Institute. This is also one of the human resources that is accessible to you on your campus. We are working with the supercomputing centers to provide materials development, student internships, and faculty workshops. So not only will your faculty have access to the training that's online, but as we did this week, we could host that training at Pine Bluff. We could host that training at Fayetteville. We could host that training at Little Rock. And then the other campuses could participate over the network. Not everybody has to move and stay in somebody else's dorm. You can have the opportunity to fully participate from your own campus. At the same time, your students at Pine Bluff could participate in internships even if their mentor was at another campus. Without the network, it would be hard to do the type of mentoring that's really needed to do dynamic, terascale, and petascale computers. Think about computers another 1,000 times faster than terascale. That's petascale. But to do the science, you have to have the mentor and the undergraduate, or the mentor and the graduate student, be able to talk to each other. And it's not usually the case in modern science that the expert and the learner are co-located in the same town. They're going to be on different campuses. They might even be in different states. They might be in different systems. But that's something that the mentoring can be done at a very human level, and we're facilitating that through the work of the Schober Computational Efforts. And the National Computational Science Institute is one of the things there. If you've got the Nixie page up, you'll see there are a number of materials on the side, including curricular materials, the most important of which is the National Science Digital Library. And then there's also the undergraduate petascale education program. If you were to look at that after the meeting today, you will find opportunities for your students to participate as interns, for your faculty to participate as workshop attendees, And to the extent that you have the experience, you could be creating curricular materials that our funding would actually provide a stipend to your faculty for creating, subject to a set of acceptance criteria. But all of that is made immediately accessible because AREON brings the world to the campus. But even more so important for the world is it brings your campus to the world. We can benefit by what you're doing at Pine Bluff, and you can benefit what we're doing on the outside. It more than levels the playing field. It recreates the world as something where we are all collaborators. We are working together. I like to say that a lot of what we're doing with this type of work moves the use of interactive technology to a concept that we call beyond PowerPointlessness. That what we're doing is not just showing slides, we're doing science. That little application we ran a couple minutes ago, that's science. It's not a picture about science. And we can make that immediately accessible through the network to an interested learner, to a capable teacher, to an excited and dynamic campus. And that's what we're doing at Schoenert. We're very happy to be partnering with you at Arkansas and across Arkansas from the great north state of North Carolina.
Bob, thank you very much. That's a perfect description of what we're talking about, where we link the infrastructure with the all-important applications. And let's take this moment right now to see if we do have any questions from the group here in Pine Bluff. See, everyone understood everything that you said. They did all the calculations on a piece of paper before everything. Anything at all? Okay, again, thank you so much, Bob.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions for Dr. Apon or Jeff in the group? Okay, that's the obligatory 5 seconds. Now here's the important question. Do we have any comments from this group? What do you think? I mean, it's a nice show, but what do you think about the impact of this on your campus and your students? We have any students in the audience?
Yes, we do.
Well, if you're going to get that extra credit that Dr. Walker talked about, you have to say something. What do you think, students?
I think this is a good idea. I think that it will learn a lot.
Very good, very good. Well, I won't pressure anybody else, but that was a good comment. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We couldn't hear that at this end. Could you kind of summarize it for us?
She said she thought this was a great idea and liked the North Carolina part most of all.
Yeah,
Having
right.
said that, you know, Chancellor had to leave to run off with the president of the system, to run off with the governor, and we were hoping that they would be able to bring him back with them. But I think they're touring the aquaculture facility at this point in time. So I will assume command here and see if we have any closing questions or comments. We'll start with Dr. Apon. Anything, Amy, you'd like to say to the group?
I want to know how many bonus points Jesse gave your students for coming.
A lot.
Jeff?
Looking forward to seeing some of the UAPB students at supercomputing. I'll get together with Dr. Walker in the very near future to help facilitate that. And as always, I'm looking forward to working with Dr. Mortazavi some more.
Yeah, is there anybody there who's going to be at supercomputing?
Bob's going to be there.
Okay, a few people.
Jesse's going to be there. Well, you hear a whole lot more about this through AMC Tech and CI Train as time goes on. Bob, as our distant guest, do you have any closing comments?
Well, I just want to let you know that we're going to be back on your campus for other in-person, on-campus training over the course of the next few months. And there are opportunities for your faculty to attend workshops that will be scheduled across the country over the course of the spring and the summer. So keep alert to those opportunities. We'll be working with Dr. Wachter and Dr. Messer to make sure that we schedule the parallel thinking and the computational chemistry workshops. And there might also be opportunities for physics and biology. But we are here to serve those who are interested in increasing the opportunities for your own students. And we'll be using this technology to provide a lot more of that training. But we also recognize the value of a fully loaded station wagon, and we'll be bringing some of that training to your campus.
I'm excited about those workshops too. I think that's great.
Well, and you know, this exchange is so extremely important. It really wouldn't have happened before. Sitting and talking about sharing these training opportunities and academic opportunities. So Dr. Walker, all I can say right now is that you now are on the network, and the network connects people, not just computers. And so now you're all part of this global learning environment. And we're so excited. We appreciate being here, and this is only the beginning. Do you have any closing comments on behalf of the university?
None.
None. Jesse's a man of few words. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Pauline Thomas, Vice Chancellor of Finance. Just like to take the opportunity to thank everybody, including the technical services staff, for working with you. And hopefully, with all these new resources, we can put it to good use. And I wanted to say that I needed some of this science many years ago to help me pass in courses. So hopefully the students will take advantage of it. I think it's a great resource. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And there's probably no greater compliment than when the CFO compliments a new program.
And what I really is excited about it was the how cost effective it was. That's really exciting.
No, absolutely. And we all work very hard to make that happen every day. I assure you. Thank you. Any comments from anyone else? Because we're not closing anything. We're just beginning. On behalf of the group here in Pine Bluff, let me thank you again, Amy, Jeff, Bob, so much for your time and efforts. And we look forward to many, many more opportunities to do this and other things. The high definition video is just one application. Remember, AREON doesn't have a video network. Video is just an application on AREON. And we're very proud of that fact. So having said that, thank you again so much to our guests. Thank you so much to our local guests. And let's make it happen from here on in. Thank you so much.